Hey everybody. I was going to say happy Monday because these are usually on a Monday, but it's actually Wednesday. And the reason that we had to reschedule this is because the clocks went back here in Scotland, in the UK, and I got confused. So we rescheduled. So I do apologize to everyone for that. I'm sorry, it was my fault. I'm just going to blame 2020, time zones. Yeah, just got muddled up. How is everyone? Let us know if you're watching. Please tweet, comment. Let me know that you're here with me and I'm not just talking to myself. We'll bring Michael on in a second. I just wanted to say, again, another massive well done to all the participants that took part in the Ideathon at the weekend. Massive congratulations to you guys for taking part, for stepping outside your comfort zone, and for working for a long time on the Saturday. It was great to be a part of. It was great to help the team organise. I'm really proud of Team Cloud Lunch and Learn as well. This was our first Ideathon, so I think we did pretty well, but lots of lessons to be learned. So we'll be looking at the feedback and working our way through that so that we can bring an even bigger and better idea. Well, maybe not bigger and better, but another Ideathon to you soon. So on that note, if you have a real life problem that you think you would like to bring to the Ideathon, please get in touch. The Ideathon is all about solution design. It's about bringing technical and non-technical people together to brainstorm real life problems and then create a sort of a solution design. So we don't go too into the details of trying to fully architect everything out. It's really just a brainstorming session and then solution design. We used for the first Ideathon, we used the Microsoft well-architected framework. So we used that as a basis and we kind of trimmed that down for like a cloud solution canvas that we used. That was really cool. There's a presentation as part of that. So it was a presentation pitch and then completing the cloud solution canvas for the deliverables. So yeah, it was awesome. I want to say a massive well done to everyone who took part. Big well done and congratulations to the team. We all worked really hard. The CLL team is now on Buy Me a Coffee. So have a look for that link on our Twitter if you'd like to donate to the cause. And with that, we'll see if Michael is available to jump on. Here he is.
Hey.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hi, I can hear you now.
Perfect.
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Can't complain. Wednesday, so we're halfway there.
Good. We are halfway there. This is actually my week off, to be honest, with Monday's confusion and then doing this on a Wednesday. I'm fully confused. I'm not going to lie. And my week off so far has been lots of adulting.
Right.
Like car MOT, getting new tires, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, when you're an adult and you take time off, you're not actually taking time off. You're taking time off to get done the things that you haven't been able to get done.
Yes, to do what I like to call life admin. That is what I like to call it. Okay, so we're here for the last in our Kubernetes series.
Yes.
And I just want to say a big thank you. This is my first time live streaming and doing all this jazz. So I just wanted to thank you for being part of that.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a fun month. I've certainly learned a lot myself as well. It's funny. It's one of those things where when you're teaching something, I personally think the best way to learn something, my dog just fell off the couch. It's when you're teaching something, it's like the best way to learn, in my opinion. Because like you're not only learning new things, like you're going through material and like you're just going to always be learning something new regardless of how much you know the topic. And it also reinforces what you know, which is obviously great as well. So yeah, no, it's definitely been a really fun month.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, with that said, are you going to share your screen and I will disappear and pop that up?
All right, you should be able to see my screen now.
Awesome. Oh, yes. Every single time I forget this, which is crazy because on the normal sessions, we did this, every time. Okay, so before I disappear, guys, please scan the QR code that you see on your screen.
Oh, actually, sorry, give me
Don't
1
worry.
second. I think you're actually seeing the wait, I'm sorry, apologies. I'm having some technical difficulties now.
That's okay, don't worry.
Okay. Okay, now you should see it full screen, right?
Yes, beautiful.
Perfect.
Okay, guys, if you could please scan the QR code that you see on your screen or go to the link and I will post the link in the comments in 2 seconds. But if you scan this QR code, register that you attended this session, you will get access to free Microsoft learning materials relevant to Kubernetes and the series. And also, it's really good kudos for the Cloud Lunch and Learn team because Microsoft do sponsor us, and it's good to let them know that people are attending our session. So please make sure that you register. You get something, we get something. So it all works out. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to Michael.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So this week, for the final week, we are going to be talking about dashboards. Now, it does intertwine a bit with what we spoke about last week from a monitoring perspective, but it's a little bit different. It's like kind of taking monitoring to the next level with two different dashboards. We're going to be talking about the Kubernetes dashboard, and we're also going to be talking about Kialia. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but there's the name of it right on the screen. So there's a few different things when you think about dashboards. So the first one when it comes to K8s is they're both, well, the first thing is they're both UI based. So they're both UI based dashboards. Now, with the K8s dashboard, it's actually built in most cases. So it's a dashboard that's it's almost like out of the box in a sense. For example, with AKS, it is actually out of the box. Like it's literally one of the pods that are running by default on every AKS cluster, which is really cool. Kiali obviously is not like that. That's an external party. So what do the dashboards do? Well, number one, you can troubleshoot your applications from a UI level. So really, like if you're talking about containers or your pods, your deployments, your services, your daemon sets, everything, you're able to uh, not control, well, you can control, but also monitor them at the UI level. And it also gives you like some graphs and stuff like that. Like it's obviously a little bit easier to read instead of just like looking at the command line, for example. You're also able to do reporting and all of that good stuff. So the one thing that I do want to say is you can't drive a car without an engine and wheels. So I know I said this, I think like the first week when I was talking about Kubernetes and containerization, but the whole idea about that still comes here. So like you can deploy Kubernetes, you can have a bunch of pods, you can have a bunch of deployments, you can have a bunch of services, all this stuff. But that's just one piece. You can't really control something unless, you can see it. You can't really get feedback on something or see what's happening on something without actually being able to see it. And that's really where the dashboards do come into play. Now, Kiali is a little bit different. So I have it written here. It's an open source mesh platform that provides a way to control how microservices share data with one another. Sorry, there's a typo there. So really what this means is it's all based on connections from a network perspective. So it allows you to share data with one container, with one pod, with one deployment, and you're able to share it between one another. Now, why is this important? Well, let's take a real world example. Let's say you have a web server and it's running on Nginx, for example. So it's going to be one pod or not even maybe one deployment. But let's say you have one deployment and it's just Nginx. Then you're going to have another deployment for maybe a SQL box because your web server, you are bringing in data. Maybe you have logins, so people are logging into the website and you have to save that data in some database. Well, now you have two different deployments. So with something like a service mesh, you have the ability to transfer data, or not transfer, but have communication between data on, say, two different deployments, for example. So another thing is too, it it's a way to control how different parts of an application share data with one another. Now, this is, outside of from a networking perspective, you're able to share data between those deployments. So let's say, that Nginx web server, it needs the ability to see a login account. Well, it's able to get that login account from that SQL deployment. So it also, again, same thing with the K8s dashboard. It provides dashboards and observability for, what's actually happening in your environment. So a quick note on service mesh, because service mesh is one of those topics where, like, I feel like we hear about it a lot, but it's not, it's one of those, it's not a buzzword by any means, but it kind of feels like that, because it seems like a lot of different platforms and stuff are like, we have this service mesh in our environment. So I do just want to say, service mesh manages the network traffic between services. That's what service mesh is underlying, and that's what Kialia is based off of from Istio. Now, Istio is an open source service mesh, so it's the same thing as that service mesh, except it's an open source based service mesh, and it's designed to make easier. It's designed to make it easier to connect, manage, and secure traffic between and obtain telemetry about microservices running in containers. So, what does this mean? Well, it's pretty much the same thing as what I said before, where it allows you to have containers and deployments and pods that communicate with each other at the network level, at the application level, so you're able to share that data back and forth. So with that, that is the end. And what we're going to do now that we're outside of the PowerPoint is we're actually going to see these things in action. So we're going to do some hands-on demos on both. Now, to get the K8s dashboard up, it's a little bit easier because excuse me, because it's built into AKS. But with Kialia, it's a little bit different. And actually, I have some stuff on my GitHub that we can share the URL after this. But we're gonna, of course, go through it. But I do have it because there's like a bunch of commands that you need to have to run. So the first thing is, let's open up PowerShell. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to confirm that I'm connected to my Kubernetes cluster. So we now see our node there. And what I do want to do is kubectl get pods namespace all. Oop, it's actually not pulling up any pods. Okay, there we go. So we do have a few different deployments here that we're able to see inside of our K8s dashboard. So first thing that we're going to do is I'm literally going to copy these commands over. Okay, so first thing is you have AKS browse. That's actually what brings up the Kubernetes dashboard for you. So you have to specify your resource group. So I can say like a Levan resources, okay? And then you have to get your Kubernetes cluster. So if you remember how to get your Kubernetes cluster, we can essentially go to the portal. This is going to obviously log us in. And then you can go to AKS and you can see, oops, sorry, I'm actually in the wrong account. Sorry, apologies. 1 second. Let me log in here. Bear with me one moment while I log in here. This code. Okay. Oh, well, that didn't work the first time, I guess. Let's try that again. All right, let's try that. Let's try that one more time. So we're going to go to our Kubernetes services, and we're going to go here, and we can see that the name of our Kubernetes service, and we can see all the different information on our Kubernetes service. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back to PowerShell, and I'm going to type N for name, and then the name. So what this is going to do is this is going to automatically bring up. Oop, cannot find the pod. Uh-oh. That's interesting. Bear with me one moment. We have to do some troubleshooting here. Okay, so it looks like the pod is actually not running for some reason. Bear with me one moment. I wish I could actually make sense of this, but that actually does not make any sense. So let's do this. Let's go to Insights. Let's go to Containers. That's interesting. Okay. So looks like we're going to be doing some troubleshooting while I'm on this call, which is always fun. Kubernetes dashboard AKS. We should be able to just pull up dashboard. Yeah, so odd. This is actually like literally on by default. So let's see. Kubernetes. All right. Let's try to pull it up manually.
There's nothing like troubleshooting live, Michael.
I know.
Deep breaths.
It's interesting. I wonder why it's not up. I think this like crashed for some reason. Cannot find the pods, but the pods are apparently created. All right, let's do this. Namespace. I don't think this exists, but let's see. Oh. Oh, it's not going to work either. Very odd. Okay. Actually, I think we might have to spin up a new cluster here. Is this apparently? Yeah, I think there's actually something wrong with this cluster because this is actually literally supposed to be the location to deploy it if you're not in AKS. Again, like I said, when you're in AKS, it's supposed to be deployed by default. It doesn't look like it's actually being deployed here. Even if I try to do it manually, it's not doing it. So, all right, let's literally create a new cluster. I'm going to do this really, really quick. I'm not going to go through all the options because we've already done this. Okay, so while this is going, let's try our luck with the Istio stuff. Or I'm sorry, the Kialia stuff. So let's just wait for this validation to happen, and then we'll be able to go through the rest of the stuff. All right, cool. So let's create this. That way, well, this is fun. Everybody could at least see what I'm talking about, where the dashboard's supposed to be there by default. It looks like it just somehow crashed in my environment, which I've actually never seen before. So that's perfectly okay. Let's go to the Cali stuff. So, like I said, this is a little bit more intense. The first thing that you have to do is you have to actually like invoke a web request to bring down the download of Istio. So we'll go ahead and we'll run that. And this is going to go through. This is going to do an API call to this URL. So this version, which is 1.7.3, can download. All right. So next, we're going to create new item. We're going to create a directory called C Istio, and then we're going to move this Istio execution over here. Click run selection. All right. We're going to create get an environment variable. Okay, so now that's pretty much all complete. Now, if we go to say File Explorer, and I go to my C drive. All right, we should now see this installation here, and we were able to set up the environment variable so everything knows where it's supposed to be. And pretty much what that essentially means is now we can actually run the command line. Depending on the operating system that you're running on. So, for example, my local environment here is Windows, which is why I had to run a bunch of PowerShell stuff. However, let's say you're on like Mac OS or your local host is a Linux box. It's these commands are obviously going to be a little bit different for you, and they all are documented in the Microsoft documentation. So just look up like Kialia AKS cluster, and you'll see it for all the different environments and all the different operating systems. So now what we're going to do is we're going to initialize the Istio operator. Same thing like, this is just like another command like kubectl or something, for example. This is just a command line tool essentially. So we're going to run this, and then we're going to initialize our deployment. We'll see this happening right down here. And while this is happening, let's open up the AKS YAML. So what we need to do is we need to deploy this like as a pod, just like we would in any other environment. The kind, which is interesting, is actually its own kind. So you know how we've had kinds like pods and deployments and daemon sets and all this stuff. We actually have this kind of Istio operator here, and then it even has its own API version. Now, the one thing that I do want to point out is it's very much still in alpha, so expect some things to change along the way. So what this is going to do is, if I just get rid of my output here, we're going to create a spec, and the spec is essentially going to be to set the profile as default and then the add-on components. So we have a few different add-on components we can do here: Grafana, Prometheus, tracing, and of course Kialia. So with this Istio operator, we can literally create all of these ourselves if we wanted to, which is awesome. So then we're going to have some values, some global values, and this is going to be for the default node selector. And of course, we're running on Linux. And then under Kialia, we're going to set the dashboard, and the strategy for authentication is going to be anonymous, which means we don't need like a username and password to log in. Totally for testing purposes. Please don't do this in your production environments. So I'm going to go back to my commands here, and I'm going to create a new namespace. This namespace is going to be called Istio system, and that's where we're going to be living. So we're going to run this. Okay, so we can see that that namespace has been created in our Kubernetes cluster. We're going to apply this istio.aks.yaml configuration so we can see that it's been created. If we go to kubectl, get deployments, namespace, actually it might be under pods, but let's see. Istio system. Okay, boom, we can see that it's still getting ready here for us, and boom, now it's ready. So we should be able to access the dashboard now. Pod is not running. Oh, it's still pending. That's okay. That's actually expected. So if we go back, let's take a look at the pods. Okay, so this is very much still, yep, it's still creating here. So we have Ingress is created, the tracing is created, but Grafana, Kialia, and Prometheus is still being created. So let's give that a little bit of time. Okay, yep, it's going pretty quick. So Prometheus just got created. So now that we kind of got that done, let's go ahead and let's go back to our AKS cluster. So from our AKS cluster, let's go down to Insights. Now again, this is the new one that's running. All right, if we go here, and actually, I think it's too new. It didn't pull in any information just yet. Let's see. No, that's okay. Let's go to clusters. All right, let's go to our cluster here. Yeah, I think this is still like very new, so that's why it hasn't pulled in any information just yet. That's okay. Let's go back here. Okay, so we can see that they're all running now. So let's go to copy. Now we can bring up this dashboard. And as we can see, we are now inside of the dashboard. From the Istio system, we can see 6 applications, for example. So let's go ahead and let's click on that, and we can see all the applications that are running inside of Kialia. So we could see things like Grafana is running, the Istio Ingress Gateway is running, the actual service to run Istio is running, Jaeger, Kialia, Prometheus. So we got all these things running right now. If we go back to graph here, we can display any unused nodes, which we shouldn't have any because we only have one node. But yeah, we could see a bunch of different information here if we wanted to. We can go to workloads. Again, we can see everything that's currently running in this namespace. We can also select the default namespace. So let's actually click out of Istio system. And which is really cool here is, remember those deployments that we saw where I ran kubectl get pods, and we also deployed the Nginx deployment application. We can also see all of those in here as well. So let's go back to Istio system. And again, this is where all of our applications are running that we spun up with that YAML. So if I go back here, go to Istio, we can see, like, for example, we spun up Grafana, Prometheus, Tracing, Kialia. And then if we go back to the portal, we can see all of that information in here. We can also see any services. We don't have any services running right now, so that's obviously going to be off by default. And then we can see, again, any type of configurations in here. Now, this is just for this namespace. Let's go to like default as well. And we can see things like TCP. We can see things like filters, metadata exchanges, the Grafana ports that are currently disabled. So we could see a bunch of different stuff in here. So that's essentially Kialia in a nutshell. Now, there's definitely a lot of other things that go into it, but this is, the overview of Kialia, I would say. So again, it's we're going to see the same thing in the dashboard where you do have the availability to manage all of your workloads and see all of your workloads, see what's existing, see what's currently in progress, or see what's currently deployed, see what types there are. So we got a whole bunch of deployment types here. If we had different types, we would see them as well. Of course, the namespaces, the names themselves, and then all of the different labels that are associated with these applications that are running in AKS. So now let's do something a little bit on the fly. We're going to get connection to our other Kubernetes cluster. So we'll do AZ AKS, get credentials, the resource group it's under. Let's go to overview. All right. Michael Levan resources. Then we'll do the name, which is testing 1, 2, 3. Let's get these credentials. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to get these credentials as an administrator as well, because I want to be able to pull down a token so we can authenticate to our Kubernetes dashboard. CTL, get pods, CTL, get deployments. Okay, perfect. Exactly what I wanted to see. So from this terminal here, let's do kubectl, get nodes. Okay, perfect. So this is our new cluster. We're currently running 3 different worker nodes. So let's try to do this one more time. Hopefully this does work. The AKS browse resource group, right? Say Michael Levan resources. Then we're going to specify name of our Kubernetes cluster. Okay. So there is a problem. Cat fig. So strange. My token. Let's try this one more time. Kubernetes dashboard. AKS. Perhaps I'm missing something. Let's try to maybe disable. Cube dashboard add-on is enabled by default on clusters older than add-on can be disabled. Okay, well, I don't want to disable the Kubernetes dashboard. Very interesting. Yeah, as everybody can see here, it is literally supposed to be on by default. And I don't know why it's not being deployed. Let's see. Yep. Hmm. Okay. So let's actually just kind of show the dashboard, I guess. Like I said, this is supposed to be on automatically by default. As we can see here, you're essentially just supposed to be able to use the AZAKS browse command. If we look up like AZAKS browse, for example, so, like I said, this is literally supposed to be built in. Why this command is here because it brings up the dashboard. But let's kind of, I guess, go over the dashboard anyways, even though we can't actually access it right now. All right, so let's do. Oh, wrong one. Okay. So slightly more boring than I originally expected, but that's okay. So essentially what we can see here is this is what the Kubernetes dashboard is supposed to look like. You pretty much have every single way to manage your deployments, your nodes, your pods, replica sets, stateful sets, daemons, all of that stuff based on any namespace that you want to have the ability to use. As you can see in the screenshot, for example, with the pods, you're able to see not only the CPU usage and the memory usage, but you're also able to see that there it's currently running on Minikube. We can see the name, we can see the status, all that good stuff, bytes, CPU. Um, how much time do we have? Okay, I'm actually going to try something that has nothing to do with AKS. That screenshot just gave me an idea. I'm going to try to just spin this up without testing this. So let's see. I'm just going to try to run Minikube here. And then we're going to see if we can get the dashboard going again without testing. I really do want to show you guys this, and I do have to go in and see why it's not working. I don't know if there's like something going on with the pods themselves that are being created with Kubernetes clusters right now. It could just be something going on the back end, but we do want to try to at least show this off a little bit. All right, let's give this a few moments. So essentially what I'm doing, because I haven't explained it, is I'm going to start Minikube on my local host. Minikube is a Kubernetes development environment. And essentially what it allows you to do is it's definitely not like built for production or anything like that. It's literally just a development environment that takes your master node and your worker nodes and just kind of combines them into one node. And that one node is a virtual machine running. If I go to Hyper-V right now, we should actually see, yeah, we could see that the virtual machine is actually running right now. So it's getting started as we speak. So it's literally a virtual machine that's running in the background, that's running all of your Kubernetes resources and stuff for you. It's purely so you can test. It is not, again, meant to be any production or anything because there's zero redundancy. There's nothing. There's just that one virtual machine that's running in Hyper-V, and that's it. So if you are getting started with Kubernetes and you're just trying to play around and learn some new stuff, say, you're taking like a Pluralsight course or you're reading a book or something like that, it's an awesome place to start for sure. I recommend everybody to use Minikube. I've seen, multiple environments where people are, using Minikube just to kind of get started and get up and running. Um, this looks like this isn't working either. Let's see. Yep, this is very much hanging. Okay, yeah. So Lisa, I think we'll probably have to just do some sort of follow-up video or something where we can show the dashboard once I figure out exactly what's going on in Azure.
Yeah, that's totally cool. We can
Cool.
reschedule a follow-up.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
I think it's good for people to see this process. Like, it shows that everyone has issues and everyone has to troubleshoot. And
Yeah,
like you
for
were
sure.
saying earlier that, you just seen something flash up and it made you think about going to check something. You've shown that you can go and check Microsoft documentation. I
Right.
th- I think it's all valuable.
Good. Perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like yeah, trying to do this on the fly probably. Well, it's actually creating the virtual machine now. So maybe this might take a little while. I don't know how long exactly it's going to take. But again, if anything, I could definitely create like a follow-up video or something like that. And we can go through that with people and like maybe just throw it up on the YouTube or something like that to see how that all works.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. You can create a
Cool.
video or schedule another live. It's up to you.
Perfect. Cool. Sounds good.
Awesome. No worries. Cool. Can you flash up the registration?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. Okay, awesome. So just wanted to say a massive thank you to Michael again for delivering this Kubernetes series for us at Cloud Lunch and Learn. And yeah, we'll do a follow-up session so that Michael can cover the last bit that he wants to. And if you haven't already, please do scan the QR code that you see on your screen or go to the link that you see on the slide here. I also posted it in the comments if you are watching live. And register for this session. You'll get free learning materials from Microsoft all about Kubernetes, and it registers that you attended a Cloud Lunch and Learn session, which is great for us as well. So with that said, happy Wednesday, and we will see you all again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.